Hello everyone, and welcome back to Twitch Tales episode 5. Where did we leave off in episode 4 of the Cartografur campaign? Well, let's find out. Minaki, Maya, I'm sorry to do this to you again, but I feel like I'm going to be giving you a little stress about my welfare. You see, I'm in danger again, or at least I was. I think I'm okay now. After my ordeal with the shambling vegetation and the swamp elves, I had a little rest in a tree, and I felt quite safe doing so. I even sketched the thing that I fought. I've included it below. It's not my best work. After I felt like I'd caught my breath, I felt like my job was to continue. I needed to map the swamp, that's what I was being paid for. So I continued. But it wasn't long before I came across, and I know how much you hate them, Maya, sturges. There was a lot of them, maybe 6 at first, and then another 3 arrived shortly after, and another 3 after that. I managed to kill several of them before they attacked me. A couple of them got attached before I was able to destroy them. I eventually managed to get away from them, but it was touch and go for a while. I was worried that I would run into more of the dangers of this swamp while I was escaping. There are vines that can sap life from you like leeches, and there are goblins and ogres apparently here. It was about then that I realized I'd maybe bitten off more than I could chew, and so I headed out of the swamp. I headed south and got back to the bridge where I crossed to the north side of the river. This time, obviously, heading south, I crossed back to safety. Taking a moment to wash the mud and swamp gunk off of me, I started to calm down again. So you needn't worry, I'm back in safety. I made my way back to Port's End, and I arrived at the guild hall, where I am to meet with Randy and debrief him on everything that's happened. I'm hoping he will understand that this job is a pretty huge ask for one person. Hope the weather's good. Wish you were here. Well, not in the swamp, but you know what I mean. And that's where we're picking up this time. As you make your way back into the guild hall of the Brush and Quill, Cartographer's Guild that you are a part of, you exposition cantrip to Randy everything that you have encountered in your very short time, in your morning alone of the Drensal. You tell him that you met with some of the elves of Cartografur and how reluctant they are to have visitors. You tell him about the various things that any one of which could have led to the demise of Jason if he was unlucky. Unfortunately, you didn't find any information on him, but this is what you've got on mapping, and I know it's not much. Randy listens for the most part, just listens to everything you've got to say, and eventually... Well, this is unfortunate, isn't it? I knew it was dangerous, so I didn't know that there was a dragon. This complicates things. Well, no dragon, in fact. It's actually worse that there's no dragon, because we knew that there was a dragon, and now there's not a dragon, which means that that dragon has got to be accounted for somehow. Whether it's dead or whether it's moved on, or... I don't have time for this. I don't have time. I've got to stay in town. I don't have time to visit Wendra. Okay. Well, I don't mind. I don't mind paying you for the work you did. I think given the magnitude of the task. What say you? All right. You're not in a rush. You were expecting to be here to map the Drensal anyway, so you've got time. Would you mind Let me ask you this. How are you with very fancy occasions. Like, do you mind, like, getting, like, dressed up nice and, like, do you know how to handle yourself when you're in really good company? Well, I don't have any nice clothes, eh? Well, we can get you some, I'm sure. What I guess I'm trying to say... You flash back to vomiting in front of a stranger just yesterday. I mean, I'd like to think so, but honestly, probably not. Okay, well, I don't have much choice, so I guess it doesn't really change things. What I'm trying to say is, whenever a dragon is sighted in Serenteel, or whenever one is even rumoured, it is sort of an unofficial law. I don't even know if I don't think it's a punishable thing. I don't think it's an enforced law, but I think it is a law that you have to inform the king. What's more is, I need to inform the king that the job that he has commissioned from us is going to be much more expensive than he's given us the money for. Also, I need to inform the king that we are going to require some of his royal cross to act as guards if we are going to send you back into that swamp. So, all in all, it all seems to be pointing at a trip to Wendraven to meet the king. Is that something you feel like you would be up for? Because I don't have the time to leave Portsend and head to the king right now. Do we know exactly what type of map that he's looking for? I know that it's he's interested in resources, putting things together with the other guild halls that I've spoken to. I think that importing lumber from Lorenthal is getting a bit expensive. There's a lumberyard up near I think it's Benlet it's called, north of Laketown, and that has taken pretty much all the usable lumber it can at this point, and so we're having to import a lot more from Lorenthal, which is not great on costs. And I think, given the closeness of the Drensile, I think he was trying to find out if it was a place that he could use for resources. I'm reading between lines. I'm not sure that that's his intentions. If you're comfortable with me being the messenger, I'm happy to do that for you. I can try. I don't know the king at all. Like, what's his opinions on Unavora? I wouldn't know. I've not met him before, but I have spoken with his aide, I guess. Oh, yeah, we actually met the guy who's doing the imports from Lorenthal on the way over. A guy called Simon. Oh, you met Simon? Yeah, lovely bloke. If you feel I'm capable, sir, if you can prepare me as best you can as sort of regarding, like, etiquette. Right, sure. I'm sure they will also prepare you if you are, if you're heading that way. I'm sure that the king's guards will probably tell you the do's and don'ts when you're in his presence. The elves won't like that. No, the elves will not like that. I know that if the king is looking to, like, chop down the forests of the Drensal, I know that the elves there will not be happy with that. They're living there, and it's going to be an issue. Right. Well, that's probably also worth telling him. I'm not sure if he knows that there's elves living there or not. Anyway, let's start putting together information packet that we need to deliver him. I could do with writing a letter, including all the information. Could you grab Janice for me, please? And she and I will write a letter together, and then we can hand you that, and you can set up first thing in the morning. Does that sound all right? Yeah, I guess so. All right, well, take the rest of your day. And he opens a drawer and he takes out 5 gold and he says, I think 5 of the 10, given that the job wasn't completed, but you did put your life at risk, and I'm sorry about that. Take this, and he hands out 5 gold for you. And unless you are going to argue that you should get none of it or all of it, you're going to take the 5 gold. 5 seems fair for the danger pay. Take the 5 gold for what you did and what you put yourself through, and the notes that you've got. You know, they're not great, but they're better than nothing at all. I will. I also need to talk to Jason's family. Ah, crap. All right. Well, one thing at a time. We'll do that tomorrow. Okay. Go grab Janice for me. I'll write you a letter. You can take the rest of the day to yourself. Almost died twice. It seems fair. I appreciate it. So just sorry I couldn't get you more. No, don't worry about it. It's not your fault. I know it's a huge ask to get you to map an entire swamp on your own. All right. So you leave the office. You go grab Janice from the reception. She comes with you back to Randy's office, and the two of them are going to start working on a letter that includes all of the pertinent information and the requests of the king for military aid and additional grant for the danger pay and such. You have the rest of the day to yourself. What is it you want to do? It is a fief day the 6th of Yolabras. Ask if there's any swampier rangers around town. You would ask, and they would not have a guild. They would have a druid's guild perhaps nearby that you could ask the PEA if they had anyone worth being rangery. Rest and have a hot meal. Find someone to ask about this wooden heart. Ask if anything can be done with it other than whittling. I'm actually confused what we're supposed to be telling the king. He wants to know about dragons, but we told this one is dead and gone. No, you were told it just didn't come back after a few months. You don't know that it's dead. Also, the king still wants to know about dead dragons. The king needs to know about whether there's any dragons in the area. We need king meeting clothes. You do need king meeting clothes, yes. You need some fancy clothing. Do we know what the king's general sentiments about elves are? I rolled a knowledge of king insight check last session to see how much you knew about the king, and you got a nat 1. You're not from a monarchy yourself, so you don't really know how monarchies work or how kings tend to act. You're neither of your countries that you are from, either before or after the evacuation, had a king or a monarchy, so you don't really know too much about them. Just what you might have read in books and stuff, and you've only got a +1 intelligence, so you don't know. You're not very learned. Kind of want to just meet the king in our regular clothes, cleaned up, but that's all. Let's not pretend to be something we're not. Once you get to Wendra, you can always go to a bathhouse, and they will launder your clothes for you. They will get you spick and span. You can always, in Wendra, a capital city of that size, it would have minor magic repair shops and things as well, so you could go to a repair shop and they would cast mending on your clothes, like get them up as nice as they can be. So there's all sorts of things you can do to get your current attire to a level of best it can be, or you can just buy fancy clothes. Whereas Wendraven, it is from Portsend, it is southwest of you. A good question, however, is how far is Wendraven? Dreamwheel map to scale. Let's see. Let me zoom in on this. From here, it would be 1, 2. So that is going to be about 40 miles, 45 miles. About 2 days. 2 days journey. Day and a half with your walking speed. That's Janice's style advice. She is canonically very good fashion sense. You can ask her to help you out with your clothing. I don't think we'd buy clothes we only wear for a few occasions, given that we're frugal. That is true. So probably being frugal, you're probably like, I'll just get myself all cleaned up and looking as nice as I can in the clothes that I already have. Okay, somebody's asking, can we see Drenwheel? So let me open up the map. The boss mentioned getting up proper attire. He said that it was probably an idea. It's probably a good idea, but it's not a. He doesn't make the rules. It might even be like one of those places, you know, if you go to a fancy restaurant and they're like, you're not wearing appropriate enough attire, they've got like suit jackets that they can just lend to you while you're there. It could be that you turn up to the king's place and they're like, is this what you're wearing? Put this on. You know. Okay, here we go. Open this up. this is Drenwheel. This is the island that you are on. In particular, you are here. I'm still working on this map, so bear with me. So you came in from the east on a boat, you came in here, you moved into Portsend proper. From there you went up here until you got to a bridge, you crossed over the bridge and you entered into the swamp area and you started trying to map this swamp a little bit and then got way overwhelmed and went back to the bridge, the rickety wood bridge, and then headed back to Portsend. And in order to get to Wendraven, sorry for those listening on podcast by the way, you can check this out on my YouTube. To get to Wendraven, you would head down here. There is a small sort of... actually, there's a small stopover town there, so you wouldn't actually go via that one. You'd go down this way. Wait, let me just double check that with my other map. I may have done this wrong on this map. Yeah, I've done this wrong on this map. This one is... Let me just quickly fix this up. So you would head inland. There is a very small sort of stopover town, a thoroughfare town there. And then you head south from there, around the mountain, skirt around the mountain, and you get into Wendraven, and this is the capital city of Wendraven right here. Maybe you need a proper map? Yes! Almost like it's coming soon. This is Wendraven, that's where you're heading. So it's going to take about 2 days. It's going to be about a day's journey. I'll get you to roughly here, and then another day's journey from there to the king. If you're walking speed, if you're walking, you would make it to about the river by nightfall, and then about half a day to get to the king. Cool, got it. Let's head back. Let me tell Janice that we don't want to be too unlike ourselves, but want to fit enough to meet the king. Could our advice help balance us out? Sure. So you can do that after they've finished consolidating on what the information in the letter should say. But in the meantime, you've got the rest of the day to yourself. What do you want to do? You want to sketch? You want to whittle something? A few people wanted to go and ask somebody about the heart of this creature and see if it had magical qualities or whatnot, right? Did the elves say something about orcs living in the mountains? They did, yes. Or rather, you've been told about orcs living in the mountains. You've been told that the orcs live in the mountains and they do not come down to the flatlands for whatever reason. Ask about the heart. Okay. Let's go to the PEA. Let's let them know what we think the king wants to do and see if they want to send a representative with us. Heart. Ask about the heart. Ask about the heart at the logging guild. Find out more about what's going on there. Okay. So, there are 3 places that come to mind for Noodle when they're thinking about who to ask or what to ask about this heart. The heart of this shambling mound. You can go to the PEA with the Pencampur in Emgelshad. There is a druid / rangers, warriors of the wilderness, it means in Elvish, or something akin to that. So you can go to the druid / rangers guild. Their entire guild, their entire faction is about maintaining balance between civilization and non-civilization, the wilderness, the wild. They try to keep towns from encroaching too much into the resources of the natural world, and vice versa. They protect the civilization from the dangers of the natural world. So you could go there, ask the druids and stuff about this heart. You could go to the Arcanists Entente, which is a faction for wizards and arcane studies, and you could ask them about the magic shambling mound thing and see if there was some magic that was bringing it to life and such. Or you could go to the Logging Camp Guild, which is part of the Artisanal Alliance, the guild that the faction that you're a part of. It's just a different guild within this faction. You could go to the lathe. What is it? The lathe and something. Let me look it up here. I've got it right here. The Timber and Lathe. You could go to the Timber and Lathe, which would know about logging. It would know about wooden furniture making and such. And they might be able to tell you about this wooden heart and its properties. They might also be able to tell you about what's happening with the logging and whether the king is wanting to chop down the swamp. So those are your 3 options as I see it. Is there anyone else who's got any other information? Any other place that you'd like to go? You can attempt to do both, but which are you doing first? Let me put it into a poll and you can decide. The PEA, the Pencampur and Angleshed, the the Arcanists Entente, or the Timber and Lathe. Portsend is a large enough town that it would have a representative of each. We have time to do more than one. It is late afternoon, early evening at this point, so depending on what time they shut for the day, if they do shut for the day, you might only get the chance to do one. It depends how far away it is, how long it takes you to get there, and how long you spend there. Okay, with 56% of the vote, we decide we're going to head to the PEA. Going to the PEA might be like bringing a deer heart to Peter. Maybe. You'll find out, I guess. Alright, so with the PEA in mind, you think, okay, they're working on their thing. I've got the rest of the day. I've got a few hours left of the day before shops close and stuff. You pop your head into the office. Sorry to interrupt. Hey, I'm wondering, is there like a druids or rangers or like wilderness warriors sort of guild around here or anything? And Randy says, yeah, there's a faction called the PEA, or P, some people call them, but they're in a greenhouse to the south of town. So you want to head out of the western side of town, and then just turn off the path pretty much immediately. Go south. You'll see a big greenhouse there. It's like a compound of there's a huge orchard. If you can see the orchard, you're going in the right direction. There's a greenhouse there that they use as a faction hall. Why is that? You're like, I just have a question about something I found while I was in the swamp. The mound thing that attached. Oh yeah, they'll probably know. I'll have this written up and put on your desk before you, if I'm gone by the time you get back, it'll be on there. You've still got the key, right? I do, yeah. There you are. You head out. You head in the direction he gave you out of the town and head to the PEA. It takes about 20 minutes or so of walking to get to it. Actually, at your speed, probably only like 15 minutes because you're very fast. 10 to 15 minutes later, you find yourself approaching this orchard south of town, and you find a greenhouse, a big glass house where they're growing all sorts of stuff inside. And as you approach it, sure enough, you see this large sign, probably made by the Calligraphers Guild that you've just left, saying Pencampur and Angleshed, all welcome. As you head into the Pencampur and Angleshed, you head in to find, I'm just going to roll to see on the NPC creator table, who is the person in charge of the PEA of Portsend, because I didn't create them before. 5 would be dominant species of the area, which is human. That is this one and this one together they are male presenting and cisgendered, so a male human. And let's just, I don't need to go through the whole thing, but let's come up with the age. The age of them is this one here, which is, oh geez, they are way past it. They are into their late 70s, which is beyond their life expectancy. So the human equivalent fantasy species of my world. I've yet to settle on a name, but I'm thinking calling them humans. The humans, they barely live past 70 usually, and this guy's approaching 80, it seems. Do I need to know anything else about him? How's he doing wealth-wise? Pretty well off. It seems like he's doing okay for himself. He is not attractive, and he's got darker skin, so he's got slightly darker skin, eyes and hair. He's not a very attractive man, but he's doing okay for himself, financially speaking. And he's missing a finger. What is he missing? Which hand? Left or right? Left. Missing a finger on his left hand. Other than that, let's look at his personality. What's he like? He's a leader type. He's a bit of a leader type, and he is quite reliable too. And what's he afraid of? Social interaction. Doesn't like social interaction. Probably why he works with animals and animals and nature and plants, because he doesn't really like social interaction too much, apparently. That'll do for him for now. What is this guy? What's his name? Give me a name. Human man. human man, late 70s, dislikes social interaction. Alright, what was the first name that came in? First one to come in was Bruce. I like that. Bruce Gunderson. Alright, Bruce Gunderson is the head of the PEA of Portsend. Bruce Gunderson. Human male, late 70s, dislikes social interaction. Darker tones, well off, unattractive. Leader type, reliable. Alright. You walk in, you see that Bruce is there. What would he be doing? Let's see. I think he's a ranger rather than a druid, because druids aren't as common. Rangers would be more common. What would he be doing in his downtime? It's his work time, I suppose. But I think he's currently training. I think he's not inside. I think as you're outside, as you're approaching the greenhouse. He's overseeing, there we go, he's overseeing another one of the PEA trying to break in a horse, trying to tame a somewhat wild stallion that they've found, and they're trying to see if it can be tamed and put to work, or whether it can be left to roam the wilderness on its own. Bruce, older man, this over here is caught, Oh, darling, so he's like older man, but he's like a little bit. Oh, and what was his education level? That'll help me. His education is a 4 on the D4, which is highly educated. So he's a well-spoken man, probably. So you approach Bruce, and he says, "Oh, hello there. Oh, Ernivora. Hey, I haven't had the pleasure of seeing an Ernivora in quite some time. Goodness me. Do you shake hands?" You say, "Oh yeah, no worries." You hold your hand out. I'm Niwha. You can call me Noodle if you like. Noodle, is it? Niwha. Niwha's a great name. Let's see. He's very well travelled. He's been around a long time as a ranger. He would. No, he wouldn't. He wouldn't put that together. He goes, I haven't seen many of your folk around here ever, actually. Only ever overseas, eh? And he said, yeah. Well, nice to meet you. And he goes, "Oh, Bruce. You can call me Bruce. Watch it, James. Hold on to the reins, tighter. Sorry about that. What are you doing here?" Like, "Oh, I'm here as a cartographer to map the Drensal exposition cantrip. Blah blah blah." You discuss everything that you wish to discuss with this guy, and he listens. He takes it in. He asks questions. He seems like he's really interested in what you do, where you've been, that sort of thing. What is it you want to know from him? What are you asking him? Ask about the others he's seen. Oh, just in the general chit chat section of the interaction, you say, "You've met other Ernivora." He goes, "Oh yeah, overseas." We're getting his accent wrong. "Right, darling." He goes, "Yeah, overseas. I went over to Triokok for a while. I spent a good 6 years there. I think it was a long time ago. Now maybe in my 40s or something. Lovely people. Like really intimidating to look at. No offense. I didn't mean to offend you, did I?" And you see that social interaction anxiety starting to come up in him. I didn't mean like just like for someone who's not used to it. And you're like, no, I get it. We can be pretty intimidating, and you'd sort of bare teeth and claws. And he's like, yeah, a little bit, but no, I've never met one that I didn't like. Wonderful people. What can you? I was wondering if you can tell me anything about like bushes that move. So while I was up in the swamp, I got attacked by this like mound of shambling things, and he goes, yeah, they're quite a common occurrence in certain areas of like raw magic. It's hard to go straight back into Cockney again. Oh, darling. So yeah, they're quite a common occurrence sometimes. So there's usually like raw magic in an area. Quite often magical forests and things, and quite often swamps as well. I'm surprised you only saw the one, to be honest. There might be quite a few of them more. So there's like there's a spark of sort of electrical energy that hits them. It's usually a tree that's most commonly, not always, but usually it's a tree that's been struck by lightning, and the heart of the tree gets sort of burned. But if it's burned on a time of like some sort of wild magic's happening as well, so sometimes there's like some people just have inherent magic. Are you a magic user? You're like, no, not me, eh? Alright, well, some people are magic users and some people have like inherent magic to them, and if they can't control it, sometimes there's like wild things start happening around, and sometimes like under Opala's shower, for instance, you say, sorry? Let me roll your history check, see if you know what Opala's shower is. Dice cam. 7 plus your history. You are proficient in history, it seems. So 7 plus your that'll be a 4, so 11. Not great. And you call it different names to the calendar. I'll say with an 11, it's probably enough. You know that Opala's shower is the name of a meteor shower that happens every year in early Opobris being the first month of the year. And during the meteor shower, magic goes crazy for a couple of days. And he goes, yeah, during Opala's shower, like, magic goes crazy, that sort of stuff. And anyway, if something like that is happening at the time that a tree is struck by lightning, often the heart of the wood is infused with like a raw magic, and it's like a natural defense that the tree has. You know, like if you cut a tree and they will bleed sap or rubber or whatever the tree happens to be, the species of the tree do different things. Or like spices. Obviously, if you're eating certain spicy foods, that's a natural defense of the plant to avoid being eaten by the thing and to try and avoid it. Certain leaves will put out different chemicals if caterpillars start to eat them to try and deter the caterpillar from eating them. So plants have natural defenses. Forgive me if I'm, speaking to the choir. I don't mean to insult your intelligence. I'm having to assume that you don't know. So and you're like, I'm not offended. Don't worry. It's like, okay, good. I don't want to offend. So basically, trees have natural defenses. Plants do. If they get struck like that, maybe sometimes it'll kill them outright, but sometimes it doesn't kill them, and it instead like enhances their natural defenses to regrow certain things around them. Usually, they just grab the vegetation that's already dying around them. The dying wood is how it usually begins. But as they roll through the forest trying to defend themselves against perceived threats, they've not really been studied all that well. They've not even been given a proper name yet. It's more of an effect that happens rather than a particular creature. So they're more like a product of just a natural process. Then, as far as we know, and we haven't really studied them, as far as we know, they're not really sentient. They're not really thinking. They're just doing what they do. Mansplaining in a polite way. Oh, don't worry, I've never been to this area. A lot of this is new to me. If the bush is killed, will the heart of the wood still retain magic? Could somebody tap into it? It's possible, yeah. Usually it'll start to, if it's not killed outright, it'll probably like start to regrow again. It'll start to get some of that stuff around it, but it'll take a long time, and you can prevent it from happening. Would another shock to this heart do anything? Well, I mean, technically, I have heard of somebody using the wood from one of those things is like the beginnings of like a wooden item, like a magic wand or something. You can use it, and then that wand can inherently cast sort of lightning-based magic or vine-based magic and stuff like that. So if you have it and you want to get it enchanted or you want to get it made, I would head to sort of like maybe the timber and lathe or someone, and they'll be able to make something out of it, like a wand or maybe like, I don't know, wooden bracelet or something. And then potentially the Arcanists Entente will be able to, for a price, of course, they'd be able to... oh, Jesus, watch it, James! Come on, mate! Oh, you know better than that. Don't go talking to it. That's... No, you're cheating. No, I know you've got the ability, but what if you don't? What if you're in an area of anti-magic and then I'm teaching you skills, life skills. Stop talking back to me. Just train it without talking. You should be able to. I'm sorry about this. You should be able to. That's exactly what we're here for. Get back to it. Stop giving me lip. Sorry about that. What was I saying? Anyway, if you want to get it enchanted, you probably can. So, is there anything else you want to know about these creatures, this thing that attacked you, or what you can do with its heart? Bit of a different question, eh? I'm just, I wonder, do you know why the king would want to map the Drensar? I'm going to give you an insight check. Actually, first I'm going to roll for him to see what he does know about this, with advantage, because of his position. Okay. I'm going to roll for you an insight check to see what you read on his face as you ask him the question. Almost a 17, rocked to a 10. 10 plus your insight is 6 plus 16, so 16. With a 16, you read an instant sort of, what's the emotion here? Exasperation, I think, is the right word for it. You read like a rolling the eyes and like a... And you do also pick up the fact that he's trying to hide that instinctive response, like he is in a position where he knows better than to speak ill of the king. But you get the impression that he's not happy with the king's decision to try and map the Drensar, just as a instant response to the question. But he responds with, well, I'm sure the king has his reasons. Far be it from us to understand what those reasons are. I would not be surprised if he has been advised by his Grand Arcanist to study the Drensar because it's just simply an area that he doesn't know much about. A lot of medicines and a lot of magics have been discovered in undiscovered, uncharted territories, particularly in very dense ecosystems like swamps. There's a lot of value to someone who sees value in different ways. There's a lot of value to scouring places of great eco-diversity because there are lots of ways that you can discover new magics and new medicines and such. Do you know that there's elves that live in the swamp? I know that there's elves up there. Yeah, I was part of an expedition. Well, I wasn't part of the expedition itself, but I was part of preparations for the expedition a couple of years ago. Elven diplomat Reuben, someone or other. He went up that way, and I helped him with preparations for the things that he might find there. I heard they're not very friendly folk, though. Which, outsiders coming in and demanding things of you, I can understand it. Nice. Take it easy. You can start taking it inside now. We've got to wrap up for the day. Good lad. Have you ever heard of a dragon that lives around there? I have heard of the hunter. Yeah, they call it a hunter. That's what they call it. I don't know anything about it. As far as I know, well, all I've heard is what Reuben told me when he got back, saying that the swamp elves knew that there was a dragon love up there. So if they know it firsthand, then if they knew it firsthand, they'd probably be dead. So they probably know it secondhand. They told Reuben thirdhand. He told me fourthhand. This is how ESA begins. The elves don't seem too pleased with the idea of mapping the place, eh? No, I bet not. Wood elves especially can be quite standoffish to outsiders, particularly taking what they don't deserve or what doesn't belong to them. Do you know what happened with Reuben? Apparently it didn't go well. Only what he told me. He was quite tight-lipped about it. Just they weren't receptive to diplomacy mission or connections of trade services and such. They weren't interested. They wanted to remain independent, which I'm all for. That is entirely their prerogative. Okay, that is information you are given. Let's see. Map Drensal, that is no longer the quest. The quest is now to visit the king. What happened to Jason? Probably not a quest either, because you're pretty sure what happened to Jason. Probably died. Who, what, where is the hunter? You know that the hunter is a red dragon, and where is the hunter? Maybe still a quest, but it sounds like a quest for someone else. What are your quests at the moment? Have you got any others? I've got to be leaving the area soon, but you ask your people to keep an eye out for a man named Jason. Yeah, he got lost in the Drensal a while back. He still hasn't been found. All right, I will do so. My people don't have much opportunity or reason to head up into the Drensal, but if we do, I'll keep an eye out for Jason. And thank you for your information, friend. Noodle, was it? Noodle, yeah. Is the Shambling Mound thing like? Is it the worst thing that I could have come across in the swamp? Probably not. Hearsay says there's trolls in that swamp. Trolls aren't to be messed with. Not on your own. They are nasty, nasty giants. Alright. Well, try and stay away from trolls then. Lovely to meet you, Bruce. Yeah, you too, Noodle. You're welcome back anytime. I've got to get back to showing James how to properly hitch up a horse now. But you have a nice evening, yeah? And he turns and leaves into the stables. So, what else do you wish to do? It is getting later into the day now. You're probably approaching 5 p.m, give or take. Spring, so the weather is early spring as well, so the weather's getting dark already. It's the light is getting dark. You've got maybe an hour left of light, including twilight. Anywhere else we want to head, or do we want to grab dinner and head out? Dinner and head to bed, and then go to the pub for dinner. Alright, so you start making your way back into Portsend proper. It's not a walled city, a walled town, so there's no gates that you have to get through or anything. But you head back to the Goosefoot, let's say, yeah, the pub that we came up with the other day. What did we say about it? The Goosefoot, a middling bar and restaurant, cheap but reasonably safe. You head back to the Goosefoot, having had a good meal there the other day. You know that it's relatively safe. For a meal, let's say modest meal and a drink, we'll go with 4 silver. So I'll mark off 4 silver for you, and you have a meal and head back to the guild hall to rest in Jason's old office. Heading back in, it's closed up for the night by the time you get to it, so you use your key, you let yourself in, and you walk into Jason's office to find that there is a letter on the desk with a wax seal, sealing it closed. It's rolled up like a scroll, a long tube with the wax seal on it, and there's a little note there next to it from Randy saying, "Probably best to set off first thing in the morning. If I don't see you, all the best of luck with it. I've included a few more rations for you here, and there's a small little package next to it that's all like wrapped up. It says, just in case. Feel free to take what you need from the supply store if you want it. Best of luck." That's pretty much all the note says. And you grab your bedroll and head to bed. Is there anything you want to do with a couple hours of downtime as you are? Do you want to whittle this wooden heart into anything, or do you want to do some more sketching? This is probably when you're writing your letters to your sisters as well. You have a little time before sleeping, draw a little sketch of Janice, leave it on her desk before leaving the next morning. Sure, sounds nice. Let's roll you a dexterity artist check, essentially. That is going to be a +7. 19 plus 7, with enough time to just do a really good job of it. You do almost perfect. You get to a point where it's like a little more time. I could have taken 20 on that. I could have made it perfect, but you start questioning, like, is this a Gilding the Lily situation? Am I going to make it worse if I take any more time on it? You think it's fine. 26 is a very good check. So you've drawn a little sketch of her and said thanks for your help on it and place it on her desk. Regarding the heart, I think we should either let the woodcutters carve it into a one for us to offer it to the king, keep it intact in our inventory now, or check it's not growing. It's not growing. If it did recover, if it did grow again, it would take a long time. It's not going to, like, grow into a shambling mound overnight and eat you. Okay, then you head to bed, and you have a long rest. You get back all of everything. Well done. So overnight you have a long rest, and the next morning you are told to set off to the king, to Wendra. How are you going to get there? Are you going to walk? You could see if you could get a cab. You could ask around for a cab if you want. It would cost you some money. Otherwise you can just set off walking. It's free and we're quick. You are pretty much as fast as a horse. If you're walking, your 55 feet movement is pretty much the same as a 60-foot riding horse. And you save money, which is frugal of you. If we rub the shambling mound hat on our fur, will it charge with static electricity and help it grow? Maybe. Alright, most people saying power walk. There's no urgency that we know of, we just need to take this letter to the king. So you grab everything that you've got, you grab your supplies, there's nothing else you need, you've not run out of paper or anything. Maybe you replenish a couple of pieces of parchment from the supplies before you leave. And you head out before Randy or Janice even turn up. You've taken your bedroll and everything with you, and you set out along the path west. It takes the majority of the day the majority of the morning and into the afternoon to get to the foothills of the mountain, where you see there's a very small hamlet at most, not even a village, just a small hamlet of a crossroads where you can head up through the mountain, through a mountain pass. It's a dangerous but more direct route to get to Holdover, but you're not heading to Holdover, you're heading to Wendra, so you take the south pass. As you turn south off of this pass, waving hi to people but not stopping. Maybe you stop for a short rest or rest your legs for a moment, drink your water skins, eat some lunch from your rations. Then you head south along the mountains, keeping the mountains on your right side. Is there anything you do on the journey? As you're walking, you've got a few hours of downtime, but you are walking, you're travelling. Anything else you want to do? Just sketch the scenery as you walk? Whittle idly? Yeah, you get out another piece of wood. It doesn't have to be the hat. You've got other wood as well. You are a whittler. You're actually not proficient in whittling tools, but you just do so as a hobby. You're not great at it. But let's see how you're doing. As you're walking, I'm going to give you disadvantage, and you're not proficient in it, so it's just going to be straight dex, which is just a +4. So disadvantage because you're walking, nat 20 or 2. We'll take that 2 + 4, 6. It's not great, not a nat 1, which would have meant you might have cut yourself. You don't cut yourself, but you do kind of fuck up the wood that you were working on. It wasn't really anything important. It wasn't a particular thing that you were making. It's just whittling. Eventually you just carve through a chunk of it and you're like, that's not fixable. Throw it off to the side. Towards the end of the day, you managed to get all the way to the... now we have fire starter, exactly. You got some tinder. Did we get our torch back from the encounter with the bush? Maybe we could craft some more if not. You've got enough torches, don't worry about that. You didn't get that one back, but you managed to pick one up to replace it from the Brush and Quill Guild Hall, I'll say. Maybe bounce what we're seeing off of what we saw on the map for accuracy. Yeah. You're just checking your... enjoying the fresh air. It is a early spring. Let's see what weather's like actually as you walk. What is the weather like? It's a little bit drizzly, a little bit grey. It's chilly, but you've got a fur coat. You've got a furry body, so you're not really feeling the cold too much. Every so often a breeze picks up and drives some rain into you, and it feels a little uncomfortable, but it dries up again shortly after. It's like drizzly showers throughout the day. So you set up the next night. You get to the point of nightfall. You've now rounded the bottom of the southern edges of the mountain range. Once or twice on the way, there's been a cart trundled by, like a merchant heading from Wendraven to Portsend, or vice versa. Not vice versa really. It's mostly going the other way. Heading from Wendraven to Portsend, cart trundles by. You wave a cheery hello, maybe stop for a brief conversation with the merchant about whatever they're selling and stuff, and then head on your way after a bit of small talk. Towards the end of the night, it's starting to get dark out. You're no stranger to living rough, living on the streets and such. You grab that bedroll out, you grab your blanket, and you set up for a long rest overnight. There's no one with you to keep watch, so you just do your best to try and find a place that is going to be safe. I'll turn on your dice cam and see how you're doing on a survival check to find a safe place to rest. 15 plus your survival is pretty good. You're no longer a ranger, sorry. So you've just got a +3 for your survival. That's an 18. 18 is good. You managed to find a tree that's near the foothills of this mountain. There's a sort of a rocky crevice with a small but sturdy tree in it. And you managed to climb up into that tree and set up your bedroll and blanket there and just go to sleep for the night. I'll just roll a percentile check to see if anything does happen to you or around you during the night. This one, where's the table for this? Journey to Wendra. There is a moment during the night when you do get woken up because you just kind of have a sense of feeling that something's watching. And as you wake up, you see that there is a vulture-like creature. It's not exactly a vulture, but it looks like a vulture. It just looks a little different, a little misshapen, and it's hanging. It's like clawed onto the edge of a branch, like in the same tree that you're in, and it's just kind of watching you. And as soon as it sees that you wake up and start to look towards it, it takes off into the night again. You think, that's interesting. Maybe it was just seeing if we were dead and it was going to eat us, and now that we're not dead, it's moved on. Okay. Takes you a moment or two to sort of get over that feeling and be sleepy enough to go back to sleep again. And after that, you sleep through the night. You get a long rest, and in the morning you pack up your belongings and head back out of the tree and continue on the journey to Wendra. It's probably going to take you about half a day to get there, you think. So about mid-morning, after eating some rations and such, you're almost to the outskirts of where the farmland starts. That's feeding the city proper. And I'll have you make a perception check, please. You do not have proficiency in perception, but you do have a proficiency in you do have keen smell, which gives you advantage on smell-based perception. I think this one will count. I think smell-based is okay here. So without proficiency, but you do have advantage, this is going to be a +3. 15 or 14. 15 plus 3 is 18. With an 18, as you are walking on the way to Wendraven, almost to the point of reaching farmland, you start to smell the farmland, you start to smell the animals, you start to smell the manure, and what's more is you smell, what is that? Cow? No? You stop and you use your predatory patience to just stop and pay attention for a second. It smells like a goat. And sure enough, as you stop and listen out as well with your predatory patience, your ears start to pick up and the sound of like a little bell. Ding, 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 ding. And trotting up the road towards you is a goat. And it trots all the way up to you. Is there anything you want to do? Because it seems like, is it going to ram into us? You step off to the side and it trots past and continues on. And then you hear more of them, and there's 2 more goats start trotting up the thing towards you, and it seems like they're going at a bit of a pace. What do you want to do? One of them's gone past, 2 more are coming. You want to stop it? It might have escaped. But they seem stressed. Make an animal handling check, and we'll see. With the dice cam, let's see if you can read the animal's behaviour. That is a 2 on the animal handling, plus you are not proficient in it, so that's just a +3, 5. Hard to tell whether they are scared of anything. You're not sure exactly what goats look like when they are stressed. Is there something behind them? Are they scared of something? You're not sure. The other 2 now pass you as well if you're not doing anything else. Do they look delicious? They could be. They could well be delicious. See what might be running from? Alright. Stepping forwards then and sort of looking up on tiptoes to try and see over the mound of the hill and round the little bit of a bend. See if you can see if there's anything chasing, see if you can hear. I will use your predatory patience once more. This is going to be advantage with perception as you take a second to stop and listen intently. With a 15 on the die, plus your proficiency in it for this particular check, that is a 6, 21. With a 21, as you're listening out, you hear something big is coming, and as it's getting closer, you feel the ground starting to almost Jurassic Park style. And just as it comes round the top, you see a person's head emerge from over the hill and round the corner. You see a person's head, very large head, a very, very fat face, and a scraggly hair that's got like twigs and stuff in it. And he seems like he's a lot closer than I would have expected him as he comes over the top of the hill. And as you realise, oh no, scale suddenly comes into play as it takes him a little longer to crest that hill than you would have thought. And after his big fat face and big fat neck comes this huge chest and this huge set of shoulders. And before long, cresting over the top of the hill, you see a hill giant. This hill giant is probably about 12 feet tall, you estimate. And as it steps up onto the hill and sees you, you both lock eyes with each other and it stops. And you see that he's holding a huge sort of Hessian sack. And it seems like it's got a large hole in the bottom of it and it's empty. As you and the hill giant stare down at each other, what do you want to do? Are the goats freaking out? They were trotting towards you and you already made an animal handling check and got a 5. So you don't know what the goats are feeling. Stare contest? You did say hide a few times? Yeah, you said hide a few times as the goats were passing you and the guy was chasing them. Like you had no time to hide and you're on a path with nothing around to hide behind. You can't just go, hide. I'm playing Skyrim, I just crouch and now I'm hidden. No, you've got to have something to hide behind. The goats were passing, you had no time to do anything. What you chose to do instead of hiding was listen out for what might be chasing them, and that's what you chose to do, and so you saw it coming. Nod our head and say good day. No aggressive moves, see if it's friendly. We just hold ourselves stationary for a moment. I'm going to roll a check for it, and it's going to be against your passive intimidation. Because as an Urnivora, you have a +5 to your passive intimidation. You're an intimidating looking creature. So can it decide whether or not you are a threat? It seems like, especially with you being 6'6" as well, you're a tall creature. Not as tall as this one. But he does seem to not take any hostile actions towards you. Just point the way the goats went and say, quick, they're getting away. Do we know anything about hill giants? Well, let's do that one first. Let's see a history check to see what you know of... Oopsie daisy. Throw my dice on the floor. I think this is a nature check, actually. Nature or history or trace, really. That's a 9. Let's make it history because you've got that. So that's going to be a 4 onto that, 13. With a 13, you know a few things about hill giants, but not a lot. You know that they are usually voracious hunger. They have a lot of insatiable hunger. I will say, what'd you get, 13? Not enough for this. What else do you know? They tend to roam. They tend to be somewhat solitary among the giants. You know that they're not as important among the giant order of things as any of the other giant kind, but they are more important than the non-true giants, the ogres and the trolls. So they can boss around ogres and trolls, but they get bossed around by any other giants. So you just kind of point. Is that what you're... Is the bag has a hole? Is there anything left in it other than a goat like a villager? I'll use that same 21 perception that you made on seeing him coming to be able to ascertain that no, there's nothing left in this sack. There's nothing moving around or arms coming out of it or anything like that. Greetings, friend. Your goats have gotten away, and you just kind of point, and he sidesteps off the path, and then he walks forwards slowly. And he walks past you, sort of keeping his back away from you, keeping his face towards you. Wendra, you do not speak giant. You just kind of point and you do your best to mime goats move that way. I don't understand, but that way. Make an intelligence check for him. He's super intelligent. Nat 1. A nat 1 with a -2 or a -3, I think, from memory with the Hill Giant stats. That is a minus on the intelligence check, so he completely misinterprets what you're trying to say. And he starts pushing back, pointing back the way that he came. And he pats his belly. Should we just bah and point that way? Bah, point that way. I'm going to roll a performance check for you. And to combat his nat 1, you need a nat 20 in order for him to understand what you're saying. Alright, so here we go. Performance check for you. Let's go with this one. 16's good, but it's not a nat 20. You are proficient in performance, though. So that would have been a total of a dirty 20. Dirty 20 is pretty good. It's a goat, not a sheep. I mean, dirty 20 is not a nat 20. Maybe that's what the confusion is. You're just pointing and buying, and he's going... And he's pointing at something. I'm going to make you an insight check now to see if you can understand what he's trying to say in return. 18. 18 plus your insight. Insight being a +6. That's a 24. With 24, you can pick up the fact that, like, something you were looking for in the goats before. You were like, oh, are they running away scared from something? And you realise, oh, he's scared of something. He's scared of me, and he's scared of something that way. I think with that, I'm going to remake your re-roll, or like give you advantage essentially on a previous roll, which was the history check about giants. That's better this time, I think. That was a 12 plus your history on giants would be a 4, so 16. 16 is better than the 13 you got before. With a 16, with this touch of like, oh, he's scared of something. Something else hits you. You haven't had many encounters with giants in your time, but you have heard plenty of stories about them, and you've maybe even read about them or seen pictures or something. Now that he's pretty close to you, now that he's like just on the other side of this path, and you kind of both facing each other, stand off across this path, he's about 12 feet tall. And you think giants are usually taller than that. You realise in this moment, giants are usually like, even hill giants are usually like 16 feet tall, you've heard? This one's not even double your height. You're up to his navel or sort of size. And you think, oh, I think this is a young guy. I think this is a young hill giant. I think this is maybe like a teenager, or even younger perhaps. And he's patting his belly and pointing back to the way that he came from, and then he's pointing away from him to like the path that he was running up. At this point as well, with your perception the way it is, and the fact that you're sort of attuned to trying to make the most of everything in this moment, you're using your aware perception essentially rather than your passive. You start to hear,
"Hey, let's go this way. I think he's going this way. Yeah, you can see the tracks. You follow the tracks there. Right there. Come on, move."
And you can hear that there's like a angry rabble, an angry mob that is coming from the direction he was leaving. The mob might be hunting him. Yes. So, what do you want to do? Helping or hiding a giant might be a huge ask. What do we do? Let's help him, I don't know how. Grab his hand, run away to hide him. You let the giant pass, confuse the mob. He stole the goats and now he's getting mobbed, poor wee fella. Hiding him isn't going to work, but then we can run and they can misdirect the mob. He can run pretty fast if he's dashing, as can you. turn him in, talk to the mob, stand with him, in front of him. Alright, so we're going to put this to a poll. What to do? Run with him / hide. It's like run away and try and find somewhere to hide him on the way. Stand with him. So like stand your ground with him. Him run, you stay. So like you head off the mob and try and convince them, try and persuade them, whatever. Or turn him in. Or I guess other, just in case you've come up with something else that I haven't thought of. Alright. Rarely in Twitch Tales do we go to a 5-part poll and get a majority of answers immediately without having to do preferential voting. But 70% of you have decided, tell him to run, you stay, encounter the mob. So you tell him to do so. You, in best terms you can, you say, run, you go. And it doesn't take much for, like, you don't need to speak a language to be like, run, and you go up behind him and you push him, and he sets off running. You turn around and head at speed in the other direction, and you encounter the mob. It's not too far, it's not too long before you find them. They're probably about 200, 300, maybe 400 feet behind. Thankfully, they had broken line of sight because they were kind of cresting a hill, so you crest over that hill and come down towards them. The next question for you is, are you lying to the mob? Are you telling them the truth but trying to convince them that he's not a threat? Are you... are you going to try and pay for reparations of like, I've stolen some goats, how much is a goat? I'll pay for it. What is your intent? Now that he's run off and you're going to encounter the mob, tell them we saw some goats. Is that what they're looking for? First, we need to make sure the mob isn't aggressive against us. I think we might offer to pay for the goats if that's what people are upset about. Ask them what's happened. Distort his tracks while moving towards them. Send them the wrong way. Try and confuse them. So I'll ask about a giant. Say we aren't a giant, etc. Tell the truth. No threats. Okay, I guess it mostly comes down to, do you want to deceive them or do you want to tell them the truth and convince them? So deceive them or persuade them, essentially. Put a thumbs up in the chat for just persuade them, like tell them the truth and just ask to pay for any reparations and stuff and just ask them to let him go. Or put the thumbs down if you want to deceive them in some way. Lie to them, confuse them, distract them, send them the wrong way. All sorts of stuff like that. Okay, let's see. So we've got a yes, no, yes, no, yes, 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 no, yes, no, no, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. It's a little hard to tell. I think we're pretty much down the middle on this. I think it's slightly towards the yes, but it's hard to tell, so I'm going to have to put it to a poll just so I make the right call for you. Truth or deception? We might easily tell that we're lying, and then we have a problem. Mobs usually thrive on anger. If we can confuse them, it will negate that anger. We're definitely siding with the giant here. We know what it's like to be hungry and steal food. It's just a question of how we're doing that siding. Yeah, you've pretty majority ruled that you are definitely siding with the giant, like trying to get him off the hook for whatever he's done. It's just a matter of, are you doing so by trying to just send them the wrong way? How good are we at lying? Well, you're not proficient in deception and you have a +1 charisma. With 58% of the vote, you decide you're going to tell the truth. You are in two minds about it. There's 42% of your mind that's like, we should lie to them. But 58% come out and just be like, no, we'll tell them the truth. We'll say, like, yes, we saw some goats. Yes, we saw a giant. What do you want with him? Is there anything I can do to smooth things over? I think he's just a kid, etc. Okay, so that's your intent. You crest over the hill heading towards them then. As you are cresting over, as you see them starting to come a few hundred feet away, you can start to pick up on the fact that they are mostly farmers. The typical sort of pitchforks and torches. There are probably, let's see, I'm going to say this many of them. That's 16. There are 16 of them in this group. You do a quick head count, you think there's about 16 of them. There's a mob of mostly human farmers. There's a couple of hobbits as well. They're moving relatively slow compared to the giant because they have got hobbits with them as well, with tiny little legs that are trying to hurry along and keep up. They see you coming. There's a few like confused faces. Someone at the front says, "Oi! Did you see a giant come this way?" And you again think of that moment of like, no, and then you're like, no, I'll tell them the truth because I don't want them to think that I'm working with him if they catch me in a lie. You say, "Oh yeah, I did, but he wasn't a threat. Like there were some goats that ran past, and then which way did he go?" "Well, what do you want him for?" "Well, he's been stealing goats and breaking fences. He's been eating our livestock. He needs to be killed." "Well, I mean, he's eating what he needs to eat, right? And he's just a kid." "What do you mean he's just a kid? He's a giant." "Yeah, but he's a small giant. Like he's a like I think he's a young one. I think he doesn't have his parents." "It's hardly reason to kill someone. Do you kill cattle rustlers?" "Well, they get put on trial, but we're not putting a trial for a giant." At this point, they're starting to get closer as a mob. "Which way did he go?" He went that way, but I don't think it's... Look, if I retrieve your goats for you, would that help?" "What do you mean? Are you not eating them?" "No, they got away from him." "How many were there?" I saw 3. Then he turns around. He goes, 6. He goes, "Don't fucking lie. You can't. We're not. What you think? It's not the insurance. We're not going to give you. You didn't even have 6 goats, you muppet." "How many did he take?" 3. He took 3. Yeah, all 3 of them. "If he's eaten any though." "Yeah, well, he hasn't yet. So look, if I get those goats back, or if I pay for the goats for what are you trying to help him?" I don't want to kill a person just for trying to feed himself, right? If a fox came in and ate some chickens, we'd kill the fox. I mean, that's probably a fair example. Where do you draw the line? Like, would you put me on trial, or just try and kill me? Why can't you put him on trial? What are you talking? Why would we trial the giant? Some of them are just then they don't have the understanding to be like, what? Giants are giants. They're bad guys, though. What if... Here's an idea. What if you train him to be a guard? Then he can... And you feed him, whatever he needs to be fed, and then he... Who's ever heard of a guard? Wait, is it this way? And a few of them have started, going past you now. You've kind of split the mob. I'm just going to give you a persuasion check just to see how generally this whole conversation goes. And then I'm going to decide how many of them you managed to sort of give them pause. Give me a dice cam. Whoop! Oh, that is so close to a 20. It is cocked, but I will be kind. That is technically cocked, but it was going in the direction of the 20. I think if the wall of the tray hadn't been there, it probably would have been a 20. I'll take that 20 plus your charisma of 1. You're not proficient in persuasion, but you do a really good job of explaining, look, there's a lot of different ways that we can think about this. If it was one of your kids that was hungry and stealing food, would you kill them? No, of course not. He's just a kid. He's out for himself. The question is, where's his parent? Maybe you guys killed another giant and now he has no option other than to take food where he gets it. Maybe he doesn't understand that these wild animals are free for him to take and these ones are not. Maybe we can relocate him, move him south, away from the farms, away from the village. You do a good job of making most of them stop. The few that did go past you kind of are you coming or what? I can't take a giant on my own. Yeah, I mean, this one's making good points though. What if it was my kid that was hungry? I wouldn't want him to starve. What makes you think he was a kid? He was a lot smaller than they usually are. I mean, you have dogs to protect against foxes, right? A young hill giant would do much better than any dogs at keeping animals away. I mean, I've been losing horses to the griffins lately. You've been losing horses to the griffins. Yeah, I mean, a giant will probably keep the griffins away. How do we train a giant, though? I want to roll for the giant to see if he's smart enough to have kept running. Hey, nat 20. He's smart enough to have kept running. I did for a moment think, did he come back? Like, did he run away and then go, are they still chasing me? And then come back to see if they were still chasing him? But no, he's not that stupid, thankfully. Kids can be trained more easily with a little love and understanding. It'd be a great asset to you, eh? Alright, look, what? I still need my goats back. Yeah. I mean, he's got a point. He does need his goats back. The giant smashed the fence and killed the goats, or took the goats, so, like, you can teach him which animals are off limits and which ones are wild, can't you? Same way you would teach a child. He'd be loyal to whoever feeds him and keeps him on side, yeah? Look, I'm fast. I'm a fast person. I can probably track down your goats. And I can get them back. I can try and talk. Do any of you speak giant? No. No, do you speak? Your mum speaks giant. How good that? What use is that? My mum speaks giant. Of course she speaks. She here? She's not here, is she? She don't taught me giant, you bloody idiot. Hey, don't call me. I'm just saying your mum. I thought you might have been taught giant. Fucking hell. Jumping down my fucking throat. No, nobody here speaks giant. Do you speak giant? Oh yeah, Zach speaks giant. No, Zach's not here either. Fuck. Lazy bastard. He'd live a lot longer than a dog as well. It's a sound security investment, that. This is why Rob's neighbours fight back with yard work. You go get your mum. I'll go get the goats. Go find if you can find Zach somewhere. All right, is that what we're going with it? You've managed to calm the mob down from like wanting blood, but they are still wanting reparations with the goats and the fence and stuff. So like, is that what we've settled on? You go try and find the goats. He'll bring the person who can speak giant. Think about your insurance rates. They'll go way down with a guard like a giant around. Yeah, maybe. We'll make it canon that Zach's his mum. Alright, most people saying, yeah, let's go get the goats. Alright, so you turn around. I'll be right back. Boom! Just setting off. Boom! At a dash. Dashing is a bonus. Dashing is an action. 165 feet without difficult terrain now. You're on a path. You're on a mostly paved path. Sort of a shale path, is that what they call it? Slate. Just setting off after this giant. Giants, I think, from memory, move at 40 feet, so with a dash 80. So you're like double this giant's speed. So you are zooming after this giant. It does take you a few minutes because you took a few minutes of waiting for the, calming the mob down. It takes a few minutes for you to like catch up to him. As you crest the hill, you see this giant has managed to catch up to the goats and is like putting them in the sack. And then he keeps picking up a goat. He's only 12 feet tall, so it does take him like it's not just like he picks it up with one hand. He does pick up the goat and then like awkwardly tries to stuff it in the sack, and its horn is getting caught on this Hessian, and he puts it in the sack, and then he grabs another one, and the goat just slips out of the hole that it chewed out of the Hessian sack and chews these goats have chewed their way out of their sack, and he doesn't quite understand. It's like the videos you see of kids like trying to put tennis balls in a tube, and then like they bend down to get the next one, and the tennis ball rolls out. And they puts another one in and it bends down. And this kid's like struggling with these giants, these goats, as they're like sort of, the goats are kind of freaking out with fear and they're not really running anymore because this thing caught up to them. So you see this and you calm down to just a regular dash rather than a double dash. Catch your breath a little bit. He sees you coming and he sort of grabs, he's got one of the goats in the sack and he just kind of holds it to himself so the goat can't escape, and then he grabs another one just by the back of the neck and just kind of like drags it away from you. So you've met my 4-year-old, have you? Hold out our hand. Sir, put the goat down, nobody gets hurt. Just say, it's okay, it's okay. Alright, so this is going to be I think essentially, with his intelligence as it is, I think this is essentially the equivalent of an animal handling check. You're not proficient in persuasion, so even if it was persuasion, it wouldn't really make a difference. So animal handling is actually better for you because it's more about your wisdom and your awareness and how to approach something that doesn't scare it. So I'm just going to make this an animal handling check as a way of like approaching him without him freaking out. Not bad. 15 plus 3. With an 18, you manage to approach him without him getting startled or freaking out. You manage to get the third goat that's still around. It's the one with the bell on it. You grab it by the collar and you hold your hand out to the guy and you're like, it's okay. They're not going to hurt you. Nobody's hurting you. You hungry? And you get some rations out of your bag and you like unwrap them and you eat some of them. And then you hold them up to him. Obviously, he's a lot bigger than you, so it's not going to do much. But you give him some rations and eventually lets go of the goat by the back of the neck in order to reach out and grab the rations. And you can see the other goat's like popped its head out of the bottom of the sack that he's clutching under his arm at this point. And he holds his hand out, and you're like, you look down at your bag and you think, oh, Randy did give me more rations for the journey, even when I already had supplies for an entire week in the Drensal and didn't use any of them. So I didn't really need all those rations. Almost like Robert was foreshadowing that you might need them for something. You take those additional rations that Randy gave you and you hold them up, wrapped in like the beeswax cloth sort of stuff, and he just picks it out and just like chews it like eating a baby bell without unwrapping it. Doesn't seem to even notice. And you're like, yeah, good, this way. And you take some more out and like you're coaxing ducks towards you with like food in your palm, and you're like, come on, this way. And with your 18 animal handling, essentially, you do manage to lead in your direction. As he comes your direction, he grabs the other goat and starts to pull it back your way, and you lead the goat away as well. And the five of you, I suppose, these three goats, you and the giant, all head back up the cresting path that you went and down the other side, getting Sasquatch flashbacks from Team B, yeah. Leading him your way and just talking calmly to him. He doesn't speak your language, you don't speak his, but like, it's a calming voice. He gets to the point where you met him and just crests over that hill and he sees the mob ahead, and he gets a little bit freaked. I'm just going to roll again with advantage because you've given him food. I'm just going to roll another check at this point because circumstances have changed. With the advantage of having given him food, that's a 16 plus 3, 19. You're doing an even better job. You manage to be like, it's okay, they're not going to hurt you. They've got more food. Nom, nom, nom. And he points at the goat. And you say, not the goat. No, you can't eat the goat. Eventually, you see that a couple of them are coming back out of the small farm village nearby, and they've managed to catch up in the time it's taken you to catch him and come back. They've managed to go and get Zach. And as they approach back with Zach, he goes, Australian. I've got to try and do Zach's voice now. I can't do impressions. I can do voices. I can't do impressions. You come back with Zach, and he goes, "Oh, g'day. What's the problem? Big fella, is he?" You're like, "Yeah. So he's been stealing goats. Exposition cantrip." And he goes, "Right, you are." Giant seems to be taken back. He pats his belly again. Everyone's like, what are you talking about? He goes, what, you want me to stop and translate? Shut up. What are we doing with this guy? Are we trying to trick him into killing him? No. We're going to try and see if we can train him as a guard. Alright. I said, are you serious? What's the word? Bashka? Bashka? Brashkanda. Oh, da. They talk back and forth for a bit. You're just, the rest of you and the mob are just kind of left watching back and forth, trying to interpret as best you can. You definitely pick up on the fact that this giant is really scared. He's really scared and really hungry. And sure enough, you ask like, hey, has he got a name? And he goes, Brashka the Nom. And he does have a name, and I've written it in my notes somewhere. Where is it? Kern. It goes, Kern. His name's Kern. Basgul the Farbuskin. Mother the bubble. He doesn't know where his parents are. Brajkan disk Bovov. Bovov? Some vowels are difficult to do when you've got tiny vocal cords. Bovov. Big, Mazgibo? He says he hasn't seen them since before winter. He's been alone for all of winter. No wonder he's starving. Alright, well, let's find him some food, and I reckon we can... He's definitely young enough that we could train him. Alright. You've got your goats back. He hands over the goat. And the giant kind of pulls back on the goat and goes, No, kakas! And he hands out the goats. Is he from around here? Did they disappear, or has he travelled? He's Vodaskan Bashka de Vlashka. Darskim? And he points south of Wendraven. It seems like he's from the plains south of Wendraven. Yeah, it seems like he's travelled a little bit then, but he's within range of the mountains. I wonder if the hunter took him. What? Never mind. If you think better than to tell these mob of angry farmers that there's potentially a dragon in the area. Should make sure they don't tie him up. That would only make him more scared. Yeah. So, little by little, they manage to convince this guy to let go of all of the goats. He hands over his empty Hessian sack, and you see a goat just ding-ling-ling-ling, trotting up the path away from them all again. It's managed to slip out while all of that was happening, and you set off after the goat. You grab it by the bell. Come on. Saved by the bell. You take it back, and you have managed to avoid the confrontation with Zern. Well done. And not only that, you've managed to convince the farmers to train Zern to be Kern into being a guard for them, which is going to be interesting world building going forwards. The Wendraven farms have a hill giant guard. After smoothing things over with them all, and they thank you for getting the goats back in one piece, Zach teaches you. You ask Zach how to say thank you, and you say thank you to him in giant, and he sort of nods his head and goes with you. A little bit further past the farmland, you make it to the edges of Wendraven, and you see before you a 40-foot wall city, an enormous city with a unique skyline, a huge tower, a very long, thin tower, piercing the sky, probably 100 feet tall at least, and another tower that looks like some sort of a wizard's tower with lightning rods and an observatory sticking out from the roof of it. And most importantly, right in the centre of your vision, as you can see, just cresting over the top of the 40-foot wall as you arrive, a large hill, atop which is Winchester Castle, the royal palace. And that is where we're going to leave it for today. Thank you very much for joining me, everybody. I'll see you next time when you meet the king.
Hey, if you like my content and you want to support me financially, you can do so on Patreon, you can do so here on YouTube with the memberships, you can do so in a number of ways. I've got merchandise, or you can just donate straight to me via Twitch. Thank you very much.